you broskies asked me to draw more characters from the cute, yet dark and disturbing, and Box mod, Sprunki, as humans. Jeez, I've drawn so many of these. Alright, let's go. First up is Owakcx. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. Owakcx, also known as Lime, appears having lime green skin, as well as very spiked hair. His facial expression looks very tweaked out compared to the other Sprunkies, giving the impression he hasn't slept in ages and is very jittery. One of his pupils is large while the other is small. He's the 9th character in the 4th sound effect, his sound being a 101 cymbal crash, which is very sudden and loud. He also kind of looks like he's trying to use the bathroom when he makes his face. In horror mode, Owakcx has a very disturbing appearance. The entire bottom half of his face now completely torn off, revealing flesh, and a very disturbingly realistic row of teeth. The skin on the bottom half of his body is also now completely missing. And oddly enough, his facial expression remains the exact same. Although his expression was never normal to begin with, his new sound is no longer an instrument, building up with a very creepy ambience that gets louder, until suddenly letting out a very loud scream. When he screams, his mouth opens very wide, along with his pupils and head shaking violently. This sound is disturbing at best. It's honestly one of the scariest sounds in the entire game. His scary appearance is also likely inspired by yet another scene in Happy Tree Friends. Don't look that up. He is confirmed to be one of the many characters in Sprunki who did not survive. It's not revealed what his cause of death was or how he died, because Pinky's face was ripped off, yet she still lives, meaning we don't know if he died from his flesh being torn off or if there was another cause. Though he lost most of his skin on his body, which is much worse than Pinky, so I could be wrong. Either way, as for who did it, I have a feeling either Simon peeled it off with his teeth like Squidward eating the Krabby Patty, or Wenda used her knife on him, since it is confirmed that she has one. And according to the creator, Owakcx got released or escaped from a mental asylum, which really isn't that surprising and can explain why his face looks so frazzled. And as we know from the last video, he apparently also got hit in the head with a hammer by Ratty. Poor guy. Of course, I drew his hair spiked like the original, and kept that crazy facial expression. I really felt like he would have an alternative clothing style. Plus, he really reminds me of Gur from Invader Zim. I included a band-aid on his non-existent nose because I feel like he'd be clumsy. The scary version was for sure disturbing to draw, and I think it has fairly accurate vibes to the original. Here is human Owakcx. Next on this list is Clucker, another weird name. Clucker, also known as Silver, has light gray skin, and can be seen with a rather monotone facial expression, while looking up at the silver symbol that sits on top of his head, which is around his long antenna that has 2 spikes. He's the 3rd character and the 3rd beat in the game, with his sound being a cymbal. However, when horror mode kicks on, we can see the entire top half of his head is completely gone, with a horrified expression on his face as blood drips down his head. When playing his music, the cymbal repeatedly hits his head, and is now moving much faster. The noise itself now being disturbingly just the sound it makes as it slams down, hitting him repeatedly at a rapid pace. His death seems pretty gruesome, and if I had to guess, he's most likely a victim of Wenda, since she has a knife and half of his face was most likely sliced off in some way. How his eyeballs are still there is a miracle. Clucker is unfortunately not on the list of survivors. Clucker is really good friends with Garnold, and it's actually confirmed that he and Garnold built Mr. Fun Computer and Funbot together, so technically they're parents. Hey, I don't make the rules. I drew him with silver short hair, and of course I didn't forget the symbol on his head. Because he enjoys building things, he's holding a wrench in his hand. He's also wearing baggy work overalls and a white button-up shirt. I did my best to make his horror form accurate, and I'm scared. Here is human Clucker. If you enjoy my art, be sure to check out my new Taro Boba sweater. It's adorable and it's even got boba pearls on the sleeves. You can check out my clothing store Cake Bite in the description. Next up is Tunner. Tunner appears having light tan skin, a brown fedora, and 2 drooping ears on each side of his face, making him having a total of 4 ears, and his face is monotone. He's the 15th character and the 5th melody in Sprunki, his voice being a very simple whistle. Moving on to horror mode, similar to Funbot and Jevin, he has very little changes in his appearance. The most notable changes being a bullet hole now in his hat, with blood leaking down his forehead, and a senseless expression on his face. His melody in horror mode is now a whistle with an unsettling ambience. Honestly, this is one of my favorite sounds in the game. In the beginning, many people, including myself, speculated that Tunner's bullet wound was self-inflicted, possibly because he was forced to see all his friends die and couldn't take it any longer. At the time, this theory also made sense to everyone, since it is confirmed Tunner owns a revolver. However, this theory has been debunked, since later on, it was confirmed by the creator themselves that it was not Tunner who fired the gun, but it was actually Wenda. Apparently, Wenda somehow got a hold of Tunner's gun and fired, killing him in the process. How exactly this went down, we aren't sure of, but many speculate during Wenda's killing spree, Tunner tried to fire his gun at her, but missed, eventually leading to Wenda getting his gun from him and finishing him off instead. It also makes sense that Tunner would have tried to kill Wenda because he's actually a sheriff, so there's no doubt in my mind he was trying to protect the other Sprunkies, but unfortunately wasn't able to. Though hopefully his death was mostly quick and painless, unlike the others. I wonder what he looks like with his hat off. The most interesting fact about Tunner though is that he apparently shot one of Veneria's plants by accident. Wonder how that happens. Officer, please, I only shot him by accident. Because Tunner is a sheriff, he's most likely older than the other Sprunkies and overall more experienced. I gave him hair to represent his ears, along with a ponytail in the back. And I know it says on the wiki he wears a fedora, but I couldn't help but imagine him with a classic cowboy hat, so I drew him with one. Also, it is important to note to take stuff on the wiki with a grain of salt because there's a lot of vandalism that happens on there. He's wearing a simple sheriff outfit, along with a star badge on his coat. He also has a piece of wheat in his mouth because I always see cowboys chewing on those. And there's a scar on his face cause hey, he's a sheriff. He's gotta have some scars. Here is Human Tunner. Now let's draw Garnold. Garnold is the 8th character and 3rd effect in Sprunki. He wears a golden suit, as well as wearing a gold and black visor. When he sings, his visor creates a cyan-colored sound wave, his sound being an arpeggio synth sound. However, when we enter horror mode, parts of Garnold's visor appears to have been shattered open, revealing his eye, with blood dripping from underneath his visor. The mouthpiece on his suit also appears to have been shattered, revealing a creepily realistic row of teeth in the shadows. We can also see blood leaking from Garnold's neck area. His sound effect is now vastly different from before, no longer upbeat and instead disturbing and eerie. As he sings, his eye moves around from side to side, as if he is looking for anyone who can save him. This is pretty creepy. At first glance, we may not be able to fully tell how he died. Some may assume his neck was cut open by Wenda, but that's actually false. Instead, Garnold was spring-locked. In other words, crushed from the inside by his own suit. I'm really curious as to how this happened. Did someone else do this to him? Or did Garnold's suit gain sentience and decide to kill him? We may never know. But what I really don't want to know is what his appearance looks like without the suit on in horror mode. Since he got crushed, it'd probably look very gruesome underneath. If Garnold's helmet is removed, he actually does look like a normal Sprunki underneath. This is very cursed. Him and Clucker built Funbot and Mr. Funcomputer together, as stated before, so just like Clucker, we can assume Garnold enjoys building things, and probably built his own suit as well. For his human form, his hair is golden with black headphones, and I made his visor a bit translucent so his eyes are shown. He's wearing a techwear type outfit with gold and black. Here is human Garnold. Up next is Funbot. Funbot appears as a robot with a silver head and body, along with a golden visor on their face, showing their 2 electronic blue eyes and a blue smile. They have 2 golden antennas as well as 2 gold plates around the top of their torso. Funbot is the 4th character and 4th beat in Sprunki, their sound being what's called an amen break. During horror mode, there is very little change to this character's design. The main difference being instead of smiling, they are now frowning, and of course heavily shaded like everyone else. The beat is no longer simple and fun, but more like violent beatboxing. That's a good way to describe it. As Funbot appears completely unharmed, it's confirmed they are in fact one of the survivors in Sprunki, as the creator states that they are immortal, so nothing actually affected them during the killings of the other characters. Since Funbot and Mr. Funcomputer were both built by Clucker and Garnold, we could say they're technically siblings, just not blood related because robots don't have blood. When drawing Funbot, I wanted to keep similar vibes to Mr. Funcomputer. Since Mr. Funcomputer comes off childlike, I imagined Funbot to be similar. I gave them a hat with the same golden antennas, and made their visor look more like cool glasses. They're wearing a gold and silver short sleeve hoodie with a black shirt underneath, as well as black pants with golden stripes. Since he's originally a robot, I felt like his clothes would look a bit more futuristic. And yeah, his design turned out pretty simple, but I think it fits Funbot pretty well. Here is human Funbot. Last but not least is Black. Black is the 20th character and the 5th voice in Sprunki, making him the final character. He is a pitch black Sprunki, seemingly without a mouth, also wearing a top hat and a white tie. His normal sound is nothing, and that's because Black's normal form doesn't actually appear in the game, hence to why it's titled non-canon. Black only appears when you drag his icon into the row, which is exactly what triggers the game to switch to horror mode. Horror mode is where Black makes his very first appearance, being a black Sprunki with a creepily realistic human face that is completely black and white, mostly covered in shadows. If you look closely, he's also taller than all of the other Sprunkis, which makes him even scarier. His only sound is in horror mode, being an unsettling ambience. These aren't his only sprites though, as Black does have older sprites which are no longer used. His old horror sprite used to look way creepier in my opinion, with his human face being much more detailed. And the one before that was this sprite, which is just black with 2 eyes that make me very uncomfortable. Overall, I do like the current one best. It's very mysterious. In the newer updated version of Sprunki, if you try dragging Black's icon to a blank slate without placing every other character first, a message will be shown on the screen from Black himself, saying, "Don't mess with me yet. Meet your friends first." So yeah, Black wants us to meet all our cool Sprunki friends before he brutally murders them. How sweet. Though we don't know who, it has been confirmed Black has killed some of the other characters, and according to the creator, he's always been messed up from the start. This could very well mean Black is the one who caused the entire horror event to take place. And it's also theorized Black brainwashed Wenda in some way, which is what caused her to go crazy and kill the other Sprunkis. I say it's theorized because a lot of people are saying it's canon that he brainwashed Wenda, but I have yet to find proof of that. So if it is true, let me know in the comments. The creator also stated sometimes Black breaks character and acts like a kind grandpa, so that's interesting. For his human version, I definitely wanted him to come off as mysterious, since he is a very interesting and probably very evil character. Though we can't see his face fully normally, in this sprite it does look like he has tired eyes, so I gave him a cold, empty expression, like he felt absolutely no remorse for the other Sprunkis when he was killing them. He's wearing a tie in the original, so I assumed he'd wear a suit as well. Here is Human Black. Hey broskies, thanks so much for watching. Who is your favorite I drew? These Sprunki videos are so much fun. Special thanks to my swag channel members, Stan Roblox, Kittens World, Sikagu Rosie, Sarah, Paige Swinehart, Brandy Palmer, Amy Bean, and Silva Soul. You broskies are awesome. Okay, bye!